This is my 2006 Nissan Pathfinder with 153,000 miles. I've had it for the past few years, but it's been with my family for its whole life. It's not the car I learned to wrench on, but it's the car I've definitely worked on the most. I've done a lot of basic maintenance stuff like oil, filters, and brakes, but I've also done bigger jobs like rebuilding the door, replacing the exhaust, and I did timing chains back in 2024 over the winter. And that was quite the job. There are still a fair bit of things that need to be done with it. However, today I need to fix a PCV vacuum leak, and I did bring the keys out. Hold, please. Alright. Keys acquired. Today I need to fix a vacuum leak. And of course the lighting in here is horrible and you can't see anything. The part's not here yet, but that's not where this video starts. I actually recorded some work that I had done over the past few months, but all the intros that I had tried to record were pretty terrible, and so this one we'll have to do. So let's rewind a bit and start with when I had to replace the exhaust when I rusted through coming back from the airport. So, as you can see, it's completely rusted through right here. The tailpipe's not connected to anything. The tailpipe is actually still pretty new. I put this one on maybe a year or two ago when it rusted out. And in order to get the exhaust off, I'm actually not sure if I had to take one of those hangers off. I think I might, but we'll see. So, camera battery died and I didn't have another one on me because I'm kind of a dummy, but old shit's out. New stuff's ready to go on. I went to store, got some new bolts. So yeah, time to get to work. Nope. Haha! I don't think I broke anything. Huh?
What's up?
Putting new exhaust on my car.
Solid.
Old one rusted through. This tailpipe just needs to go over this muffler, but the problem is
is that when I push this way, I need to get this up and over some in order to get the tailpipe on. But I can't push it up and over and pull down on this at the same time.
Okay.
So maybe if you push up
Yep.
here and I push. The problem is if pushing up and over.
What do you have to clamp there? Are you putting anything on that, or is it just going to be loose?
I have clamps.
Okay.
In the box. I just need to get it on.
Okay.
This guy either has the magic touch or we both got really lucky.
I wish I could claim credit for the magic touch, but every once in a while you just luck.
In goes the gasket. I have put an exhaust on the car. However, there would seem to be a coolant leak. And that's not very cool. So tomorrow I'm going to fix that. So when I did the exhaust a couple of weeks ago on this, I noticed that when I jacked the car up, I had a coolant leak. Apparently, the coolant leak was worse than I thought, and while driving down to St. Louis, Missouri, the car had leaked out enough that it overheated, and that was no good. So I ended up having to fix the coolant leak in the parking lot of an Advanced Auto Parts. It only took about an hour. It was a pretty simple problem, all things considered. The lower radiator hose behind this shield that I'm taking off had the hose clamp had broken from rust, and it just wasn't holding on anymore. I've since replaced it with a new one, and I haven't seen any symptoms, or I haven't seen any coolant leaking on the ground. So presumably that's done the trick. However, there is a little lip right here that normally makes this cover a bit of a pain to get off. I just didn't put it back on because I knew I was going to need to do an oil change basically as soon as I got back from the trip, which is what I'm doing right now. And normally you gotta take everything off through this tiny little plate right here, but if I just take the big plate off, then everything is way more easy to get to. I'm somewhat tempted to just leave the lip off entirely. On the far ends where it mounts to the bumper, there's supposed to be metal clips right here, and they barely hold on due to the fact that the rubber's all snapped off. And so I might just leave the lip off entirely. I'm not sure yet. It's definitely not going on back on today. The screws are just rattling around in my glove, or in my center console. But I might put it back on at some point, especially if I can figure out a way to get a better mounting solution. So yeah, it was this hose right here that was leaking. With that cover off, the oil filter is way easier to get to. Darn, I got oil on my hands. Oh, that's why we wear gloves. Also kind of surprised that this never leaks. This might be a separate little copper washer on here. And that is, as far as I'm aware, it has never been replaced. Or at least I have never replaced it, and I've changed the oil in this car quite a number of times. So, but there's never any oil buildup near the exit, so I'm just going to keep doing what works. Alright, new filter goes on. I would see my overfilled it just a little bit. That should be plenty tight while also not being impossible to get off. want to rant for a second. How hard could it possibly be to design a box that keeps everything where it's supposed to go? Every single time I pick this thing up, all of these like little sockets go everywhere. It's so irritating. So the center console armrest in my Pathfinder has been broken for like a decade. This latch has sheared off and doesn't close. So I modeled and 3D printed this and we'll test it out right now so we can make a final version. Alright. It works, but it's not as snug as I would like it to be because the console can still hop up and down.
So I found out what happened last time. Apparently I cannot measure, and this is just straight up longer, so made a new one. Let's see how it goes.
And then we'll stick it back on back here. I like that enough to put it back in, or to keep it in, so. Alright. With the exhaust fixed, coolant leak fixed, oil changed, center console finally has a latch for the first time in like a decade. Car is now in a lot better shape to actually, use for my job. So I'm sure there are more problems to fix, including the strange noises that I've been hearing in the suspension that I cannot figure out. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this.
End of flashback.
And all of that work leaves us here with a split, presumably PCV hose. I can't actually see where it is, but when I put a stethoscope up to it while it was making noises, it sounded like this. So I'm going to take this off. I did actually replace this 6 months ago because this hose right here had split when I did timing chains. And I was like, oh, what the heck? Let's replace all the PCV hoses all at once. And I bought cheap garbage, so I suppose that's what I get. So I'm going to go ahead and put more cheap garbage in it. Alright. Clip this off. Hose is off. Well, it would seem that there's nothing actually wrong with the hose. Physically, it looks fine. It might have been that it was just making a sound because it's not stiff enough. It's very, very floppy compared to this one, which is quite stiff. So I'm going to go ahead and put the new one in. After all, I did buy it, so. Alright, well, with that fixed, that's about all I have for this car at the moment. Won't be the last time you see it. There's suspension work that needs to be done. That ball joint's leaking.
But with it once again being in dailyable shape, I need to move on to the second car and get that one to the point where I can be comfortable taking this one apart for a couple weeks to do suspension work, which should be pretty fun. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching.